Hey you guys, welcome back to Romance Review TV with Lady T. Got another recap video for you guys. Married at First Sight US Season 15 Episode 11. And this is our back to our future episode. The couples meet with Dr. Pepper, and then they also had different tasks to do, looking back at their childhoods. And, we're going to unpack all of this and try to make this make sense. So before we do, take a second to make sure that you're subscribed to this channel to receive all updates, and please don't forget to like and share. So let's jump into this recap. Okay, so as we recall last week, we saw Justin and Alexis walk off in separate directions after going through that whole tense exchange at that group dinner party with the other couples. So now this episode picked up where things left off, where Alexis approaches Justin on the sidewalk, admitting she don't know how the argument escalated between them that quickly. Okay, well, ultimately they decide to squash the whole argument, and they walk away, and call this wiping the slate clean so they can move forward in their marriage. I don't know how that went off the rails, but it did. And the thing is that a lot of that is predicated on the fact that Alexis didn't want to share. Justin wanted him to share about their relationship, and she said that by her sharing, it makes it all about him. Okay, but either way it go, they decide to squash it, so we all get to move on. So then we had these two separate meetups with the girls in one place, the guys in another, discussing their different issues. But the primary focus is Morgan and Ben, where each of them have their take on the conflict that's going on between the two of them. So Ben is telling the guys that he confided in Justin about certain things, and Morgan saw it as betrayal. Morgan, on the other hand, defends to the women that Ben promised he keep conversations between himself and Morgan private, essentially breaking that trust when he did get to go to Justin. You're on Married at First Sight. Everything is going to get out eventually, So I don't know what she expected, but I get it. But he did admit to lying. Now, while the men think Ben isn't wrong for leaning on Justin, Kristen fires up Morgan and supports her by joining the men at their meeting. So all of them walk in. There's this awkward silence that lay over the room until the conversation comes up. Morgan explains to the guys why she's feeling hurt, and Ben admits that he could have handled things differently. Yeah, but Nate said, why all the hostility? Because he sees this as, why can't he have a conversation with the guys? I mean, I've said this, and I know a lot of the other fans have said this. They all talk about their spouses with the other spouses. The women do it too. The men do it too. But all of a sudden, this is a problem. And I don't even know what's being said, because she keeps saying Ben is saying crap about her, but we don't even know what that is. So, anywho, it seems like they're separated for now. So Dr. Pepper starts to make her visit. She checks in on Ben and Morgan first, where they address the situation more directly. So Ben admits that he could have handled the situation better, and Morgan admits that she questioned her own behavior in the relationship, worrying that she made herself unavailable to Ben regarding openness. Yeah, she's absolutely right about that. Possibly explaining why he has chosen to confide in Justin. So then she has a conversation with Nate and Stasha, and they talk about their challenges that they've had adjusting to each other's approaches to a relationship. Dr. Pepper kind of put some reminders in place that they didn't marry another version of themselves, though, adding that when they have the tough conversations, they should do so while holding hands to combating the bad feelings. And I will say, I think that can make a little bit of a difference and make you feel comfortable. Dr. Pepper also checked in on their intimacy, learning that they have taken the next step in consummating their marriage. And that was good to see. Look like they're making progress. So I'm glad to see both Nate and Stasha is doing well, especially after this visit with Dr. Pepper. So next up is Kristen and Mitch having their conversation with Dr. Pepper. They got pretty candid with each other as she opens up about feeling a little lost in the relationship after putting so much effort in. Now, while she's mostly happy, Kristen tells Mitch that she needs reassurance and that he's still in the relationship as opposed to his earlier feelings about her. Now, it's a request he think, he could be able to uphold, as, Mitch also take Dr. Pepper's advice to let go of the fear and lean into the relationship. And I think that's great advice. So now it's Justin and Alexis's turn, and they share with Dr. Pepper that their marriage has been a little bit rocky lately. Now, although Alexis was unsure about the future of their relationship, they do reveal that they've started fresh. Now, it's a rough start considering that they just found out Justin's dog won't be able to return home with continued erratic behavior after attacking Alexis's puppy. Now, Dr. Pepper admires their willingness to try, but she do put a warning out there that it doesn't fix all of the problems and, advises Alexis to be more in touch with her sensitive side. So last up on the visit list with Dr. Pepper was Miguel and Lindy, who are in a really good place at the moment as they speak with her. They offered her some fresh baked cookies, and the two of them agree to go deeper in their relationship as she advised. Now, Dr. Pepper also asked if they've said "I love you" to each other, and they aren't afraid to say that they haven't uttered those words yet. But they're on their way, and they just want it to really matter and mean something once it does happen. And I can totally appreciate that. And that's the advice Stasia needed to hear. Now, also as part of Dr. Pepper's visit, she assigned the couples tasks like taking each other to a spot or an activity that had meaning in the past, and also writing a letter to their younger selves. Now, for Kristen and Mitch, Kristen returned to her roots by bringing Mitch to toss a softball on a field. She says that most of her childhood was spent playing sports, and it was a part of where her drive to be perfect come from. Besides the fact that she's a Virgo, admitting her parents applied a lot of pressure. This brings Mitch to the realization that he and Kristen were brought up in entirely different ways, as he's given a wide margin for error by his parents. Now, Mitch's activity includes showing Kristen photos from his past as he opens up about his parents' divorce, what he was like as a troublemaker kid, and the grief he experienced since losing his father. Now, later on, they visit the grave of Mitch's dad as he introduces Kristen to him. Later on, the two of them go to the beach where they each read each other's letters, and Kristen told her younger self to know that it's okay not to be perfect all the time. Mitch got emotional reading his letter, admitting that he has a hard time processing feelings, but he needs to have faith that things will work out before turning his head into Kristen for he cried on her shoulder. As for Justin and Alexis, Justin's childhood activity included flying a kite at a local park he spent when he moved from Alabama to live with his brother. Now, Alexis admitted that she never imagined she'll be married to a man who liked flying kites in the park, but she does appreciate the experience and learning the fact that Justin was told most of his childhood to just figure out when it came to challenges. Meanwhile, on the flip side, Alexis played basketball as her activity, explaining that she played as a child before showing Justin old scrapbooks. He teased her, calling her a nerd, but she looks at it as if it was power, noting that determination can bring you to almost any goal. And in the letter to herself, Alexis says that she should embrace her softer side and let go of that super independent lifestyle that she's been leading. For Stasia and Nate, they do the assignment first with, him telling his younger self to embrace his skills and talent along with his inner voice despite being deemed a weird kid amongst his peers. Stasia's letter says that, she'll be surprised by her future in the best way. And this experience or this task seemed to pretty much bring them closer together as Stasia appreciates the fact that Nate was showing his vulnerability side. Now, when it came to their activities, Nate brings Stasha to his old home and shares secrets about the way he caused some trouble around the neighborhood. The stories kind of intrigued his dad, who steps out to talk with the two of them. And with his presence come a well of emotions as Stasha asks her new father-in-law about being a single dad raising Nate, leading to some sweet tears for all of them. Now, Stasha brings Nate to her old apartment, explaining that she walked to her schools growing up and used to make denim purses for her classmates to make money. Nate was impressed by that, noting that she had somewhat of a similar hustle to him. Now, before leaving the area, she introduced him to a family that she lived with in high school, explaining that when her family left the neighborhood, she wanted to finish out her schooling, and they took her in. And the meeting kind of unveiled this whole sweet dynamic between Stasha and the family, of course, giving Nate a deeper look into her past. So now for Lindy and Miguel, Lindy's experience, she takes Miguel to a swing dance class, since dance was something she was deprived of in her religion growing up. Having, I guess, this fun on the dance floor, the two of them sit and discuss reasoning behind the activity, and the things became a little clearer in Lindy's letter to herself, as she promised every decision she's making is the right one, including moving out of her home at 14 to live with her friends. Now, Miguel wants to share his childhood with Lindy, but it's tough when Puerto Rico is across the country, and so he brings her to this place called the House of Puerto Rico. Now, he shows her off, shows her maps and photos of sites, explaining their significance in his own life. And in his letter to his younger self, Miguel admits that coming to New York was tough, but the efforts were well worth the results, as he promises love is ahead. And happily, it turns into this whole love confession for Miguel and Lindy as well, leaving the two of them on absolutely great terms. So finally, Morgan and Ben. So he reads his letter to her as she's fidgeting in her seat. Now, when Ben turns to Morgan for her to open up, she claims she can't trust him and leaves without opening herself up. Yeah, he put his heart on the table, read his letter, hoping for her to say something, and she just pretty much was like, nope, I'm not telling you nothing, you're not getting what's in this letter, and I'm out. So needless to say, it seems that for these two, things have only gone from bad to worse. And I'm wondering if they're going to even continue in this experiment, because currently they're separated. But my opinion, Ben, you need to just move on and let Morgan go and figure herself out. Okay, so let's get the conversation started down in the comment section. Let me know what your thoughts are about this whole Morgan and Ben situation. What did you think about what Dr. Pepper had to say and the advice that she gave all of the couples and the task that they had to do? Do you think it made some of them closer together? And let me know your thoughts. So until the next video, like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll see you soon. Bye.